Roadshows and stuff. I'm your host, Doug McClain.
Frank Mancina, what's going on? What do you think is going to happen in the future?
Meeting is being recorded by the host or participant. Nice try, Frank. Nice try. You ready to rock? Are we ready to rock?
Ooh, Doug, I've been ready to rock for quite some time, actually.
I'm not sure what it would. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest installment of Roadshows and Stuff. I'm your host, Doug McClain, joined here by Frank Mancina.
Doug, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good. Frank is in Kentucky this week. Frank, how's the weather down there?
It's hot. Pretty hot.
The background looks just like the Windsor, Ontario office of MRA.
Yes, exactly. It's actually a green screen.
Quick poll, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the greatest movie you've ever seen. New Top Gun. Go ahead, Frank.
7.5.
Why? Why a 7?
Because I haven't seen it yet. And this is based on my friends' opinions. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid 4.3.
Oh, okay. Am I?
Did they expect the first movie came out like, I think, where's my calculator? 64 years ago. And then they make references to the first movie, like you remember it like you saw it yesterday, right?
You didn't rewatch it?
No, because it's even worse. Like when you watch it now, it's so campy and cheesy. But then you realize they do all the same crap in this version. Whoops. Engineer, edit out the word crap, please.
Same's Joe.
Joe. Obviously, three of us go back way back. We got some stories. Don't want to tell them.
What are we talking about today?
Show. We are talking about tour launches. People take for granted the fact that, you've got this amazing mobile program out there on the road and you just set it up and do show after show after show. But what happens before it leaves the mothership? That's what people want to know. That's what people want to know. I mean, is it an easy, simple process? I'm not sure.
Definitely not. There's definitely a lot of preparation that goes into it, Doug. Right. So everything from preparing the trailer to preparing the tech. And then a lot of times there's like a marketing campaign that correlates with it. So there's a lot of preparation that goes along with it. From the trailer side, everything from doing that first run to see what things are moving on the inside or to tie things down, to strap things down. And then obviously the general maintenance of the trailer itself, right? Making sure that it's kind of up to date with all of its preventative maintenance, going through all the, the little nitty and gritty things.
And we like to say that we do like several dry runs prior to hitting the road. Not always the case. You don't always have time to do that. And, admittedly, some of our launches have gone down to the wire. Like, we've got, it's, Monday at midnight, we've got to be someplace Wednesday afternoon. We've got a 600-mile drive. And it's just those final pieces, right? Final pieces of the puzzle. It's like watching one of those HGTV shows where they're like redoing like a kitchen. You think it's all done because the paint's done and the countertops are in. But there's still like 2 days of work where you're adding pillows and the trinkets and some last minute electrical. That's exactly what it's like. And you have to think the majority of the stuff they have and that they're touring with, they being the drivers or the operators of the program, they can't just stop at a Walgreens or a Walmart or a Menards or something and pick up all the items they need, right? That has to come from our shop, especially if it's like specialty materials or things that they need for that specific tour. So going through that laundry list, we have huge checklists. And like you said, things like straps. What you do have to do a few times at least is see how everything stores in the trailer, right? When those expandable walls, assuming it is an expandable trailer, when those expandable walls come in, does everything fit along the center line? Is anything hitting the ceiling? Is anything hitting the walls? How's technology? Does that have to be, completely turned off?
And typically we will do like a storage plan during like the design and development portion, but it's, sometimes new things are added and things change. So And sometimes you're just wrong on that certain thing, right? So, you just have to take that into consideration.
And occasionally there have been times where we do a few programs that are close to our home offices and we can swing by in the first month or two to make adjustments, but that isn't always the case. So,
yeah, like I remember launching one this past year and, getting to this first event and something kind of fell out of the ceiling. Right. And we're totally not on the same coast as MRA. Right?
That's a great point,
right?
too. That sometimes we have to make changes out in the field or adjustments or repairs or, address issues. We'll fly people out, our own engineers, our own fabricators and so on to make adjustments if things do go wrong, because you can't always come back, especially like you said, if you're on the West Coast. Oh, Frank, there's a piece of paper here. I've got to move it. I'm just going to move it over to the other side of the desk. Not going to look at it, though. It's just a piece of paper. So what are some other things that we consider when before we launch a program?
Well, the training of the staff, right?
Yes.
Not always you're going to have some experienced staff on tour. So
what are their roles and responsibilities, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. What's the tour operator doing? What's the tour manager doing? Are they part of the actual experience? How is the client team involved? Is it a B2B tour? Is it a B2C tour? Is it culture and education, diversity and inclusion? Like what types of tours is it? Obviously, the tour operator and tour manager play different roles in all of those different types of tours. So making sure that they're, aligned with the tour mission, for example, and knowing, the tour goals. If it's an educational outreach tour, sometimes the tour manager is the tour docent. So like the person that would bring someone through, an experience. So a lot of those times that training, happens like a month beforehand, right?
Sure, they'll travel to client sites.
Exactly.
Same thing with like simple like sampling programs for like business to consumer, like Big League Chew's got a new flavor. So you have to train those brand ambassadors on what they're saying, what they're doing, who they're giving samples to, who they're engaging, and what the ultimate goal is. Yeah, you're right. That takes place weeks and weeks in advance, before tours hit the road. Client teams.
Yes. So yeah, like I mentioned, the client team. So what is their role with the trailer, right? Is it a B2B tour where the client team comes in and, does their dog and pony show and tries to sell a particular product, right? It's best that they come before the launch of the tour to familiarize themselves with the trailer and the different aspects. Especially if it's a high technology driven type of tour, right? There's always we got to get the kinks out. And a lot of the times our newer tours now are more choreographed, right? So things are all, controlled through an iPad and the lighting goes down and the screens go up and right. So, just having that, that presentation down before you get to the first event.
Yeah, sure. It is. It's a well choreographed event. Everybody has to learn the role. And, if we have a client who has a large sales team, say across the US, sometimes they are seeing it for the first time when it pulls up into their city at their client's location. So they have to familiarize themselves with the exhibit and the display. And that's where our tour manager drivers come in too. And sometimes if it's just the field operator, just the driver, they carry a lot of responsibility on their shoulders when they launch a program, because they, in essence, have to train and educate that salesperson city after city after city, how they can interact with technology. And they have to know the ins and outs of the program. Like you said, if a monitor goes down or something's not communicating to one piece of technology is communicating to another piece, they have to know how to troubleshoot. Or they call Ted O'Malley.
Ted, love me a good TED talk.
Yeah, so that's you don't always have the luxury before a program goes out on the road of training everybody and making sure everything gels perfectly. And they do oftentimes find their legs after the first few weeks, and things then slowly begin to take shape and kind of evolve into a well-oiled machine. And then once you start kind of rotating across different regions, and then you start having repeat customers, repeat client representatives who are now familiar with the program, then things get really easy.
It's easier, exactly.
From that point on.
And then, even I know we talk about like the first event and the first launch, but then there's also like the relaunching of a tour, right? Because a lot of our tours will go down, they'll go dormant in the winter.
Yes.
So we'll have to almost do the same prep beforehand.
Yeah.
And especially like on the truck and trailer side, right? So, especially, they have the truck and trailer in storage over the winter and got to make sure everything's working. You don't want any surprises on the road at the first event, right? So
yeah, repairing trim pieces, addressing technology issues, furnishings. What's the most important aspect of all this, though, is that the end customer, whoever that person is that's going through the trailer and interacting with the display, is none the wiser. They just assume everything is perfect, everything's going beautifully. When in reality, there may be like an oil leak and water's like, dripping out of some reservoir somewhere, not endangering anybody.
No,
but but things that we always address behind the scenes, and that brings up a good point too, is if there are issues once a program hits the road, and say you're doing 2 or 3 events a week, you have to figure out time and locations where to address those issues. Again, so the end client is like completely unaware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't pull up with like a half furnished, half working display and, hope to accomplish the goals, the client originally had for the program. But it's not easy. It's not easy. It definitely is not easy. It's like something when you, again, to use the analogy of like redoing your kitchen or a home or a room rather in your home, that you notice things as time goes on, right? It's never done in one fell swoop in the first attempt. There are always little things that you're like repairing or making better too as time goes on. Like you said, when these things go down for a winter break or summer break or whatever, we jump all over these things. They're not just sitting in a parking lot somewhere with like birds on them. We're going through everything, to make sure that it does work as seamlessly as possible to reduce the amount of headache and effort that the field operators have to put forth. But a ton of pre-planning.
Yeah, so that's pretty much kind of wraps it up, I think.
That does wrap it up, Frank, which brings us to what?
The stuff section.
Yes. Oh my God, I know you have been waiting weeks for this.
I have been.
So go ahead.
I think you had it this week, no?
Oh, I did. Okay. Here, where's my okay, I have a series of rapid fire questions. Do you prefer a mouse or a mouse pad on your computer? Go. You have 3 seconds.
Mouse.
Why?
Because my wrist gets stuck under the mouse pad sometimes.
Incorrect. Okay, second question. Your favorite type of tree and why?
My favorite type of tree?
You gotta have one. It's secret.
A weeping willow.
Agreed.
Because I used to like hang on them when growing up. Like
those are rare, kind of, aren't they? Like the big, huge ones that like droop everywhere?
My buddy down the street had one in his backyard, and we used to like just fly off those things. Probably
really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
They can get massive. They can get absolutely.
Oh, they're
massive.
huge.
Aren't those popular like down south, like southern U.S.? Aren't they like Georgia?
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite tree?
Spain. I think of other southern states. My favorite tree is, without question, the maple.
Ooh, sweet maple.
Yeah, the sweet maple, primarily because of the syrup.
But
no, you know what? I don't really have a favorite tree. It's a great question. I like maples because of the leaves. The leaves are very symmetrical, and I like that. Birch, not a fan of birch. Don't even know what it looks like. And then a Christmas tree. I like those.
Christmas tree. It's like
they're harder to find out in the wild.
Evergreens.
Yeah.
A type of evergreen.
Yeah, type of evergreen. And final question, Frank, and this is a big one.
I know you just thought of it right now, so
here, let me move this paper again. Okay. Okay. This is the final question. You have 1.5 seconds to answer, and I'll tell you if it's correct or not. What is your favorite in the past 20 years? What is your favorite technological advancement that has helped your life, made your life easier past 20 years?
The smartphone.
God damn,
that's a good answer. That's super easy.
Oh, you didn't let me finish the question. Can't be a smartphone. Huh? Can't be a smartphone. There's got to be something. Gotta be
the internet or the computer, like internet.
Those have been around for like 50 years. No. You could get like computers like since the mid 90s. So 20s would be like 20.
Okay, think about the computer. Oh, how about the iPad or iPod?
Yeah, they changed my life. That is a correct answer, Frank. That's a correct answer. The reason being, I work out a lot.
Must be nice. That's kidding.
And I used to carry around in a fanny pack. I had a cassette player with like headphones. Like I'd wear a fanny pack with a wire coming out of it, like exercising.
I still do the wire though.
No, sometimes I do the wire. There's nothing wrong with the wire, but every now and then, like you're doing an exercise and it rips the wire like out of your ears. There's like people that see it. And you have to pretend it was like I meant to do that.
So you used to have was it a cassette? So you had the cassette player.
Straight up Sony Walkman.
Did you like record your own like workout jam?
Mixtapes. Yeah, heavy mixtapes. But then I went to a CD, and the problem with CDs, you couldn't burn CDs in the early years. So I used to walk around with one of those single CD players in a fanny pack, and it would skip all the time. It was awful. That's why the iPod is the greatest advancement in the history of like modern technology. Because then I had like thousands of CDs. They all went on one little tiny iPod. You could wear it on your arm. You could wear it in a fanny pack. And then on top of that, the AirPods.
Never got into those yet.
Me neither. But, and that made you completely wireless, completely digital. And then you could just, do like Schwarzenegger levels of workout. So Frank, I think that wraps it up for today. We have another amazing episode coming up next week.
Which we don't know what it is yet, right, Doug?
That's what I was getting at. We don't know. And that's why, these 11 or so listeners are probably at the edge of their seats trying to figure out what it is. We're going to be, no, I'm kidding, 1,100, figuring out what we'll be doing next week. But it will be amazing. I promise you that. So special shout out to Joe, our engineer, for all of his work he's done. An amazing editing. Can't be duplicated. It's as simple as that.
That's right. And if you're looking for more information, follow us on our social media channels. And check us out on our website, www.gomra.com.
Also check out our MySpace page and
our ICQ. Anyways.
And mention hashtag Doug and Frank at Canadian Tire for a discount.
All right. See you later, everybody.
All right, everyone.
Thanks for